There's always some holiday injury, like Christmas time, it's the pine needle or a errant cork to the eyeball. But I guarantee you somebody will have burnt their
Aaron
eyebrows off.
cork to the eyeball. Ah! As we were going through, though, I yelled, "You could start a machete company with a great slogan, your single source for whack jobs." Never underestimate the power of freelancers, people.
Well,
You are welcome.
to be fair, it was a bit of a trade.
It's true. Yeah.
It was a very
I
fair
didn't
trade.
get me. The entire horror was some kind of geriatric craft club with old ladies making lamps out of wine corks and knitting afghans that said Frederick AF or some such nonsense.
I said, yes, I love hunting. He asked me what type of hunting, and I said, fireflies. I got 6 last night alone.
Do you know how many Americans died in the Battle of Cowpens? Of course, I'm having another hot dog.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
Very excited about the show. I've been very excited about it. We have really good shows lately. I don't know if you noticed.
So we were in Frederick this week. We went to the Maryland Doom Fest, which we'll talk about more on the other show.
Yeah, it was 2 days of intense doom.
Yeah. A lot of US bands from kind of Delmarva region.
More bands
really, really
you could
good.
shake a stick at.
Absolutely. One band from California that was very, very good.
Zon.
Yeah.
Ozon.
Oh, it was on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Zorn.
Zorn.
It was Zorn. Anyway, so it was hot as fuck. It was the hottest weekend of the year, I'm sure. 101, 102, right? So Stace and I were walking around Frederick, and we were just going into random stores just to get 5 minutes of AC.
Right, because the bands didn't start till like 3:30, 4 o'clock, so we had all morning to kill.
Oh my God. So one of them, which I had no business going into, was a knife store. I know nothing about knives. So pretty soon they noticed us and they wanted to know what kind of knives we were looking for. EDC, assisted opening, tactical folding. Well, I didn't want to look stupid, so I said I was looking for a new jackknife. And that's not a thing, apparently. So I already look stupid.
Pretty sure that's a rabbit.
So then I said, well, how about like a Swiss Army knife with a more modern corkscrew? They seemed unconvinced. And then they asked me my name. And I said, well, my name's Tom. Tomahawk, in case you were wondering. That still didn't. These guys were hard asses, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and he asked me if I was into hunting at all, trying to figure out what we wanted. I said, yes, I love hunting. He asked me what type of hunting, and I said, fireflies. I got 6 last night alone.
Before I forget, this week's sponsor is disgraced podiatrist Seltzer. You just can't make weird comments about people's toes.
Even if it looks like you could snag fish from the sea.
They'll banish you to Tonesia. Okay, anyway.
So anyway, I told them I'm not one to brag, but I do work on Whetstone Way in Baltimore.
Ooh,
They stared at me quizzically as I leaned on a display of sharpeners, raising my eyebrows in a knowing way.
I started to ask them how extensive their scythe collection was. And I was going to suggest a new slogan for them. Yes, we are the sharpest one in the drawer. That's when Stacy yanked me out the door. As we were going through, though, I yelled, "You could start a machete company with a great slogan, your single source for whack jobs." Anyway.
We wandered a little further down the street, and I found a coffee shop that was also a bike supply / repair shop.
Yeah.
Gravel and grounds. Strange combination. I spotted a bunch of bicycle seats on a rack behind the barista.
That was when it came to me. I figured after each sale, they could hand one to the customer and say, "Here, have a seat, and we'll call you when your order's up." I went and told the lady behind the counter. She didn't get the joke. And what's worse, when I asked if we got free refills on our coffee, she immediately started to backpedal. That's when I knew they were pulling my chain. I shifted gears to small talk. Soon it was clear to me that she was not the spokesperson for this establishment.
Oh my God.
I'm here all week, folks.
So I guess their dream customer steps up and says, I'll have 2 soy lattes, a cinnamon scone, and a Campagno bar shift ender set 11-speed. Or hey, caffeinate up while we fix your brakes so you both can have great reflex action. Does this target customer exist? There was a place that we found next that had a very old sign outside that said wine and spirits bar, so we wandered in.
Yeah, to our horror, was some kind of geriatric craft club with old ladies making lamps out of wine corks and knitting afghans that said Frederick AF or some such nonsense. There was exactly one large open bottle of white wine on a counter, no glasses to be seen. As we snuck out, we noticed the sign on the front of the store was actually All Things Frederick. We scurried away and pretended that we didn't just break in on a pack of stone cold Restless Housewives Club. Yeah. Then we found a local record store. And it was decent in selection wise, but I didn't see any amazing deals. But it occurred to me I was going through the budget vinyl, and I thought maybe I could negotiate a discount if I offered to take one of the 7 copies of Donny Osmond's Disco Train off their hands, or Linda Ronstadt's Greatest Hits. But I didn't have the guts to pull it off. So, okay, I want to talk about our feature interview.
Our feature interview this week is with the Knoxville-based black metal band, Summoner's Circle. We have a lively chat with the band covering topics like villains with Bible quotes, as well as the making of their wonderfully theatric new album, Cult, that just came out last month on Black Lion Records. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, let's play a song. This is Shroud of Humanity. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. And for $6.66 a month, me and Stace will not shut up for you.
There are music reviews, including stuff. The stuff we review here is stuff we like. Stuff we don't like or think is mediocre. A lot of that is over there. Some of them are actually quite funny. So
We're painstakingly honest.
yeah. So you might want to get over there and check it out. It's less than you will spend at Gravel and Grounds. I guarantee you that. And it helps the show. We are going to a lot of concerts this summer.
Lots of live streaming.
Rather busy. So check out our Instagram pages. I usually announce before we do a live stream, so you kind of know when to tune in. So if you can't get to some of these shows or they're coming to you soon and you want to get a feel of them, check it out.
Tomb Mold and Cognitive are the same week.
That's right. And Vanishing Kids
And
is the
Vanishing Kids.
opposite end of the
Yep,
week. So
exactly.
based on either this show or the rock and roll show, tune in and kind of get a little sneak peek. Also, come like us on Facebook and we can make snarky comments on your posts.
Check out my Facebook followers. They're the strangest things. There's a lot of praying Indian people. So apparently they can't get enough Snaggletooth. Anyway, so let's talk about red, white, and how come.
Americans celebrate the 4th of July in extraordinary ways. First of all, everything flag-oriented is dragged out for the 4th, from your gubernatorial tablecloths to your Yankee Doodle dandy barbecue tongs to your Martha Washington autograph souffle cups. If it's got stars and or stripes, bust that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
And for God's sake, find 3 articles of clothing that are red, white, and blue, even if it has to be your undershirt, blue jeans, and a red dish towel. Bravo.
And that's half-assing it. Yeah, on 4th, we took my daughter to a watermelon eating contest. And this was a time when she and I were plowing through half a watermelon a day. We just, in the summertime. And I didn't think anybody would be able to challenge her, right? So we get there and we get all seated. And it turns out they give her one little slice and you're just supposed to eat it as fast as you can. We thought it was going to be quantity. So as a result, I think the organizers weren't in league with the redcoats. We went home and ate a watermelon the size of a compact car, and then everything was okay. When being invited to barbecues this time of year, I get really weird and picky. Sue's having a party. Is Rich going to cook? Maybe I'll go if Rich cooks. Is he doing the bourbon chicory briquettes? I hope they don't have that ambrosia salad with that fucking marshmallow melting in the sun and the weird oranges. How about, is he going to fire up the smoker? Is there a QR code I could scan to find out the menu? Yeah, I get really picky. Yeah.
It's a great time of the year for price gouging on steamed crabs as well.
Oh, God, it is. Yeah.
Crab places have no shame whatsoever jacking up the costs. TJ's Crab Truck says, well, normally we'd sell you a dozen large for maybe $85, but since it's a holiday, Well, let me have a look at your credit report before we go any further. Nobody was going to tell me that I would have to fill out a bunch of forms to
Especially
get crabs.
Especially off the back of a crab truck.
I need to show my social security card.
Where patriotism is strangely linked to gluttony. America is baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and an antacid tablet. Do you know how many Americans died in the Battle of Cowpens? Of course, I'm having another hot dog. In fact, I think I hear the ghost of Hancock telling me to check out the pit beef sandwiches. We will not bear the brunt of the king's tyranny. Give me a scoop of that German potato salad. We all stand outside, stuff ourselves endlessly in Old Navy swag and patriotic Crocs and pretend we're not sweating our asses off. Then we get good and drunk and bust out the fireworks, because nothing enhances a buzz like a deafening M80. Someone festively melts their cornea every year and then ends up going to Stacy's office because of it.
Every year,
Yep.
literally. But I had never seen anything from the first couple years we went to Myrtle Beach on the 4th. Maryland is a state where only crappy fireworks and monkey fucking sparklers are legal. There, you can get professional grade at any of the huge firework emporiums, literally every other block, all trying to outdo each other with bundles and deals. Buy one monster box of pyrotechnics and get a box of burn your eyebrows off. Free.
We're talking screaming kitty chasers, crack flappers, screaming meanies. They got it all.
Sometimes there are also a combination fireworks pancake house. I never figured out.
You mean
why
you don't
did
have
that.
one whistling kitty chaser?
The best thing is when you just buy a box of, you have no idea. It's just random stuff that they put together.
The grab bag, you know.
But the beach is packed all night with random drunk people, untrained, setting off shit. It looks constantly with the stream of sparks and whistles like the beach is in finale mode of a professional show all night. You don't even have to buy any to go, or, you don't have to go to a show. You just wander down to the beach with your beverage of choice and stay back.
It sounds like a hell of a show. Yeah, between the drunks and the fireworks. Yeah.
There was a woman with a ludicrous amount of fireworks, cigarette hanging out of her mouth, drunk, stumbling, and still lighting things off. I mean, I kept telling my children to back up, yet we could not look away. There was another gang of kids who had a pipe directed out at the ocean, but in a physics-defying series of events, the rockets kept blowing backwards over our heads and going off in the dunes behind us. After a while, you just get used to stepping over the drunks already passed out in the sand. They'll wake up when the tide comes in. Long after we had wandered off to bed, they were still lighting out all of their disposable American income well past 4 a.m.
It's a firecracker. Okay, let's play a song called Dogmatic Defilings. Okay, let's talk about Home Chef.
Home Chef is our sponsor this week. We just enjoyed a lovely meal from them.
It was insanely delicious.
It was a chicken cutlet that I pounded until it was very thin, dipped in panko, some seasonings, and topped it with a mustard brew style pub and sweet potato fries.
Oh, they were so good.
How could you beat it? So
Nothing like a pounding from Stace.
yeah, we have I usually use a rolling pin. I don't know why. It's my weapon of choice. This week we got another order from them. You can go on when you place your order. They have tons of options to choose from. I like the kind you prepare yourself. They also have express meals where some of the work's done for you, as well as oven-ready meals. You just throw it in the oven. This week we got sheet pan poppin' jalapeno popper chicken with lemony green beans. You see they offer step-by-step instructions on the back, complete with pictures so you can't get lost. How about a mozzarella stuffed chicken with roasted potatoes and garlic aioli? I know someone who really likes garlic aioli.
Mm-hmm.
May or may not have an extra bottle of that in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a sliced steak strip sandwich with horseradish cream. I could just serve it to you over lettuce if you don't want the bun.
Yep.
Another winner, love horseradish cream. This looks like it's paired with a beer. They don't supply the beer. But everything you need.
How
to
bold
make-
of them. Yes.
Everything that you need is delivered right to your door. There's no worrying that you forgot ingredients. Like I said, you get step-by-step instructions. They even tell you if it's expert, medium. They even give you clues on keto-friendly items, whatever your concerns are. You can even get desserts and side dishes, whatever you want. However many items you want, how little you want. If you do order over $60, it ships for free to your front door, FedEx.
It's time for Wax of Contrition. But first, and this is a big but first, we're going to talk about the album that I've been torturing Stacy with all morning.
Oh, God.
Kleenex Lilliput. Phenomenal. Now, albums and bands come and go, but this is one in a million. Lilliput had this gripping collision of blocky punk chords and enchanting Europop choruses, an arty oasis in a desert full of male-dominated bands in the late 70s. Sassy and sophisticated, with a chromatic purity seldom heard in rock music. I cannot imagine walking into a bar and hearing this music being played by these women. It's like they didn't know what they were doing, and nobody told them, and they didn't care. The Swiss foursome was Claudia Schiff on bass, Regula Singh on vocals, see what you did there, Lieslat Ha on drums, and Marlene Martyr on guitar. They'll screech, shout, and chitter their way right into your heart.
The compilation moves chronologically from the earliest material released under the Kleenex moniker, from songs like Die Kleenex-Plänen. The cassette are mandatory fare for any self-respecting post-punk or new wave fan.
They called themselves that because they said, it's perfect for us. Use us once and throw us away.
That's some self-esteem right there.
Okay.
So, pioneering cuts like Night Toad, Creamy, and Madness bounce along on tight bass lines and Marlene's chic 4-chord landscapes as Regular belts out a few luscious velvety words in Swiss or English. The rest of the band adding cryptic cheers at unexpected moments.
Yay!
Sometimes it sounds like they fell off the stage. Ah! The slinky, distorted groove of Berry Berry channels a sort of effortless class and coolness.
And each day you'll feel nicer.
It sounds like a threat. Their breezy sense of urgency comes through loudest on this early material, likely cranked out quickly, the band tighter than Chris Christie's skinny jeans. Everything up to the 1979's You single, with its angry side and friendly side,
Yay.
is faith-restoring rock and roll bliss.
Okay. This song is called Ain't You.
And you wanna cut it all. Don't you want to wait wrong? Take a radio in your life, take a radio in your love. Take it in and take it out, take it everywhere you go. Push it in and push it out and push it in. Take a radio in your life, take a radio in your love. And you wanna cut it.
Okay. Eventually, they were forced to change their name due to the evil tyranny of global corporations.
Samuel Procter and Gamble.
Of course, they probably should have picked a different one from the start. Anyway, they changed the name to Lilliput. The Lilliput EP material is even more interesting in a lot of ways. The band is looking to push the envelope. They're adding horns and other instruments and other household items. The coach whistle in Hitchhike is fantastic. But they don't change their bonk, bonk, bonk songwriting template. It's kitsch-tastic.
This tour primarily focuses on the two early 80s full lengths. The bass juggling balls of confusion, silky ohs, and Tarzan yells shine brightest through the tumbling jaunts like Feel Like Snakes Twisting Through the Fog, and Outburst, with Marlene's chicken scratch guitar style explores cacophonous violin abuse in Birdie. Lineup changes had become prevalent by 1983's Some Songs. There were even a couple of guys in the band.
Ooh.
And while sprightly velvet style fare like Blue is All in a Rush is trippy enough, It lacks the snap of the early classics. Even so, lethargic, noisy madness like Terrified is still in a class by itself.
Despite praise from latter-day journos, this material remains criminally unexplored. Kleenex/Lilliput were an obvious influence on the artists from the glory days of the 4AD label. Their erotic, casual, genre-building style blurred the line between pop smarts and the no-chops-required punk ethos. Kleenex is one of post-punk's most magnificent failures. Speaking of 4AD, remember, what was it, last week? Somebody in your office was going to go see the Pixies. And of course, everyone asks the question, does Mark like the Pixies? And I said, yeah, that bippity-boppity-boo chick knew her shit.
And you always thought Tinkerbell was hot.
Thumbelina? I mean, don't get me started. Anyway, this is Night Toad.
Night Toad, you are so big. Night Toad, you are so sick. Night Toad, you are everywhere. Night Toad, you are so black. Keep yourself lost, and do it again. Keep yourself lost, you cannot undo.
Okay, moving on.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Wax of Contrition time. We're going to talk about Portal, and the album is Ion from 2018.
Brisbane's Death Gods Portal have returned with another collection of their one-of-a-kind cosmic, seismic, high colonic destruction. Creatures of the multiverse, strap yourselves in for the ride. There aren't many bands in recent times that require a realignment of the senses in order to digest their music, but Portal remains one of them. Two sensations come to mind. First, the feeling of watching a thunderstorm from the safety of a front porch, feeling insignificant, witnessing the power unfolding in front of you, seemingly random and destructive, but part of a larger order of things. Thunderclaps that blow you back, and bursts of light that temporarily blind. Yet, there's a numbing feeling, a sort of calm and hypnotizing stillness that comes from taking it all in. Portal consistently gives me that same feeling.
Second is trying to absorb a completely berserk jazz fusion record, everyone in the band handling their assignments and or letting the music take them on a journey. Drummers and horn players all blowing up in odd time signatures perfectly in the pocket, but your mind is reeling to get a sense of the pulse and the scope of it all, the common thread holding the entire thing together. There's order in this chaos, but it feels like we're a little beyond comprehending the scope of it all. This song is called Espionage. Okay, continuing on with Portal. At this point, it's become standard, this hellish affair. Gasp-like vocals. The drums are endless cyclones of zigzagging rolls, stops, and furious blast beats. The guitar is just as chaotic, slashing and stumbling through fits of crazed, dissonant tremolo picking. Cuts like husk batter the brain with its primitive tribal bursts, and the spastic closer Old Guard segs into 6 minutes of abstract space noise. For most of the album, these items seem to be happening independently, but miraculously, there are spurts of cadence where it becomes apparent that the band is actually all on the same page. The whole nightmarish sonic experiment, part of some master plan.
It's both challenging and compelling. The black hoods and death robes that shroud the band make the delivery of the aforementioned din even more fascinating. But the effect induces morbid curiosity more than musical interest. The intensity is otherworldly, but I have to be in the mood for something like this, an abstract interpretation of embraciveness, of scribbling random brute force. As if the above-mentioned sonic impossibilities aren't enough, maybe a bass player named Ominous Fugue will pique your curiosity.
You know what the best Portal song is?
Heidi's
head is so sad. Okay,
That's not a Portal song.
let's play a Portal song. This is Revolt of Volts. Okay, want to introduce the interview?
This is an interview with Summoner Circle. We have, I believe, 5.
It's a whole circle.
Yeah, we have almost the whole band. And of course, we do ask a question, of course, that could be answered by the one person that isn't there, but that's so us.
That is so us.
I got a sense from this band that they are really honing their craft. This last album is fantastic. And I get the kind of impression that they're losing some of their kitschiness and becoming more serious and driven. I see big things in the future for them, and we really enjoyed our conversation, really enjoyed this album.
Take it away. We were very impressed with you guys are quite prolific actually over the last few years, it seems. This is what, your third full length? Or
Well, there was a little blip in there because it seems like when you changed record labels that somehow one of your albums changed names and it kind of got a different cover. Is that because Tome become none?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tome was an independent release. We did that on our own, and then we got picked up for distribution by Pavement. And so what we wanted to do is just kind of give it some different artwork, and we added a bonus track on there, which was further into discs from our first EP, just to give people incentive to grab that. So it was really just done because it got picked up by a label.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah.
So for all of you, what kind of inspired you to get into, the extreme metal? What was kind of the first heavy music that was your gateway when you were younger?
I'll go ahead and start. For me, my cousin, I was a little kid, and my cousin was spinning Black Sabbath Master of Reality, and I'd never heard anything like it when I was a kid. I would just like it instantly drew me in. And, after that, it was like pretty much all metal all the time. Yeah.
For me, it was I've always been a video game nerd. So when the first Mortal Kombat movie came out in the early 90s, I went and saw it and got the soundtrack and was introduced to Gravity Kills, Fear Factory, Napalm Death out of that. And it's been a downward spiral ever since.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking of the downward spiral, 9 Inch Nails and kind of industrial was kind of my bridge getting into metal and extreme metal. Like, I was aware of like Metallica and stuff, but I really didn't start digging till I got into industrial metal. And I just really, once I dug into that, I just started digging into a lot of different forms of metal. And of course, Marilyn Manson's really tied in with Trent Reznor too. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As for me, I was into heavy music, or like, kind of like just generic metal, if you will, like almost like the radio rock stuff. Like probably around high school, maybe a little bit before. I was just kind of getting into rock at that time. But my real like gateway to the like actual heavier stuff that's like, more akin to what we're used to is Children of Bodom, which was, I even remember the album, it was Blood Drunk. And I just remember going into the store and just kind of walking around the metal section, and I just like one of their albums just caught my eye, and I just picked it up and just started listening to it, and I bought it, took it home, and I just couldn't get enough. It was another downward spiral. It was them and Job for a Cowboy. I remember the Doom EP I really liked a lot in the beginning, and Black Dahlia Murder, which I still love. So yeah, awesome stuff.
I remember being like 12 years old and we'd go over to my cousin's house. They were about 4 years older than me, so I thought they were so cool. And I'd pull out like, let's put on Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality. Let's put on Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. And they'd be like, we're listening to Air Supply right now. And then it's going to be the Live Journey record. And then I've got Loverboy on tap after that. So, and I was like, well, these look really good. I don't know why we're not listening to these.
Right.
So I don't know why I don't know why they even had the heavy records. All they listened to was, like REO Speedwagon and shit,
So I know you all kind of just referred to it as a downward spiral. I like to consider it a rabbit hole because that sounds like a lot more fun. But were your family supportive when you got into this? Or they're like, what are you doing?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah, and you're part of the world. That I did want to ask that question. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'll say yeah. My mom and my stepdad definitely were. They've always been really big into music, and even my dad, it just not really into the extreme metal side of things, but a lot of music, but when it gets into the more creepier stuff and the content that this band does, he's not on board, but my mom and stepdad are. So it's kind of a split in my family, I guess.
Yeah, and I'd say for mine, it was kind of like neutral at first. Like they didn't really go one way or the other too much, but they became more supportive, and they still support me. I mean, they still come to shows, like they were at our last show. My parents were, and yeah, I couldn't be more thankful for that, honestly.
There's this one meme going around of this lady with a walker like in the mosh pit. I'm like, she's somebody's grandma. Look at her go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have any stories from your part of the world? I mean, you got any like Blues Brothers type stories where, the rednecks are like, what the
Or
hell
the
is,
Bible Belt people.
what the hell is this shit?
I mean, I guess the closest thing to that is sort of the satanic panic that arose the first year of Tennessee Metal Devastation Fest.
Mhm.
A couple of bands, our friends Ken Casket Robbery and us, got kind of signaled out by some of the local churchy types. And once they started digging in and looking into the bands, of course, it really was a full-blown satanic panic. They were messaging the mayor and everything
Oh my.
to try to get things shut down. And of course, we loved that. That's great. That the
Yeah.
festival ended up giving the festival a lot more publicity, and they're still getting pushback from people in that community. But now we're going on year 3, playing again this year, and it's an amazing festival run by Zach and Raven, amazing people. So I guess that is our closest, brush with something like that.
Yeah. Now that's great. That's like the Alice Cooper rule, which is you don't want to be in the music news. You want to be on the news.
Absolutely.
That's how you
Right.
get
Yep.
exposure. Yeah.
And were they saying me in that Ashley Madison?
Oh yeah.
Took good about me, talk bad about me, but talk about me.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I've always said, better to be, it's not always true, but better to be hated than ignored, right? So
Oh
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My only experience with Knoxville, I think, was 82. We went to the World Fair there, and it was that year, for some reason, they picked the worst theme ever. It was our country's nuclear reactors. I was like 12. I was like, what is going on?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
because Oak Ridge is right here, of course. The big nuclear power plant is
I
right.
think I was like 4 or 5 when it was. I remember going to it and being on the giant Ferris wheel, but for me, I was a kid, so it was
I
all
don't
awesome.
remember when The Simpsons went, because I didn't move here in 98.
And I remember we stood in line with my parents and we saw like Juice Newton play some high school gymnasium. I'm like, what are we doing?
That's right up your mom's alley. That's right up her alley. Yeah.
Oh. So I love your guys' kind of Matt Harvey-ish type sense of humor that you throw into all of this, as long as with the serious. But I love your tagline, join us and become none. What inspired that greatness?
Well, I didn't take that one.
I think with that one initially, when we were writing the song Become None, I specifically wanted to play on the anti-religious trope of referring to non-theists as nuns, Nones, and just thought it would be a kind of a fun way to address the people in the crowd and the people who follow and support us, is to refer to them as nuns. So the song Become None is a little bit of a step away from the cosmic horror stuff that we were writing about at the time. And it's kind of a thinly veiled open invitation to think freely and step away from the ideas that have been indoctrinated into us via organized religion. So we wrote the song Become None, thought it was kind of a catchy title. So it just became just an all-around open invitation to join us and become none.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I did notice the thematic changes here, and it's definitely up our alley because we have been personally victimized by the Catholic Church. Don't worry, I'm in recovery. I'm no longer Catholic. Thank God. But I think all of us have had like a really bad experience at some point. Can any of you recall something dumb or just something you were just like, this is not for me? Or sometimes it seems like people, the more religious they are, the more evil they are, like the BTK killer,
Right. I mean, and there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm not going to say that all religious people are evil. I know a lot of really good-hearted, good-natured religious people, as long as they are maintaining their beliefs to themselves and not trying to force it on other people and not trying to legislate other people's lives based on their personal pet religion, then we're going to be fine. But it's those people who prefer to cross that line. Those are the ones that I have a problem with. And those are the ones that I want to very openly speak out against.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a trite saying, but freedom of religion also implies and should imply freedom from religion. So, it shouldn't be something that you have to do or be forced into.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of takes care of itself in some ways. I mean, who's creepier, the guy with the deicide tattoo or the one that says Revelation 7:12 says the oceans have burnt, quoting the Bible is the creepiest thing you can do.
Right? Put this cracker in your mouth and it turns into the flesh of Jesus.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
I'll pass, thanks.
I'll quote Corinthians 11:7, and you're like, okay, crackhead, so.
But I totally agree with your theme that it's a cult. I mean, we love shows about cults. I think we sat there and watched a whole
We watched
bunch
all of them, I think.
People magazine.
Yeah.
But what are the craziest ones that you have heard of as far as, I mean, outside of religious cults, which are cults?
Right. Organized.
Like the one that, what was it? The one they were all going to commit suicide when the comet came over? Or...
I mean, there's a lot of those, but I think one of the creepier ones that I saw actually came from a documentary that I watched on Netflix. It's like a 10-part docuseries called The Keepers, and it takes place within a Catholic school in New England. And it was a horrible story that I initially thought just started off about the murder of a nun.
Oh,
And
I started watching that. I didn't make it.
It
Okay,
got
yeah.
far darker and far more sinister, involving like a child sex trafficking at a Catholic school that the local politicians and police department were involved with. And it was one of the most horrible things I've ever watched. And the amount of effort that went into covering things up to protect the priest that was in charge of that school was just absolutely appalling.
Yep.
That was actually here in Baltimore, and my mother went to that high school with Seton Kehoe.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
creepy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. She was she was little before all that, but yeah, that was, and he like never got in trouble.
No, he died happily of old age, just stashed away in a church elsewhere. The church protected him, and
that's kind of how they handled it. They just moved them around rather than defrocking them or whatever you were supposed to do. They just moved them from place to place.
Yeah, so it's not always if you knit your 1500th sweater, you get a space on the spaceship. It's not always that. Sometimes it's a little variance. Yeah.
That's interesting too,
There's a lot of those though.
Like Heaven's Gate and like some of the others, like you were talking about, the one they all wore the Nikes and they thought, when the comet came, they were all gonna,
Right.
Yeah, some of those can be fun to learn about, and creepy and pretty sinister in other ways. But I mean, I've honestly never seen anything quite as sinister as just some of the shit the Catholic Church allows to happen.
It's so hard to keep a secret between like 2 or 3 people. It's just hard to believe that they were able to cover up something that huge for so long,
Right?
Yeah.
They got tendrils everywhere. So,
It's the power of brainwashing.
Exactly.
It came down to, when I was younger, we had my kids in private Catholic school. And there was this guy that kept giving my daughter candy who was a teacher there. And it made me kind of feel weird, but I thought, oh, he's just going to be nice. She was supposed to be in his class the following year. That summer, he found out that he was molesting girls at a summer camp and he killed himself. And I'm like, and I thought I was protecting her.
Oh, it couldn't have happened to a better person, right?
I was like, wow. Oh, it just made me feel weird. He's probably grooming her. Oh.
All right, so let's reel it in a little bit. So tell me about the story about coming here from Mercury.
Oh, we don't talk about that anymore. We have shifted narratives since then.
It's a different chapter in our history. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought it would make a great graphic novel.
That was sort of the idea, I think, when the one who was putting all that together was writing it. But yeah, we've kind of shifted gears, and we have a different narrative and outlook. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
it was fine when we started on that first EP and touched on a little bit on the first full length. But after that, we decided we wanted to go a little less sci-fi and a little more cosmic horror. And the themes of Chaos Vector were kind of woven into the character narratives. And honestly, I don't know if we're even going to stick with that. It might be something where we change up the lore with each new concept album. Who knows?
Yeah, I was a little concerned. I read some old interview they did with some Knoxville paper, and it was done completely in character.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, babe, should we get out the corpse paint? I don't know. Where's my Holocaust cloak? God damn it.
Yeah, because we've done interviews in character
Like
before.
ghouls.
We
It's
interviewed,
completely in
yeah, a cremator from Ghoul, and we had hoods on, and he had his hood on. And, yeah.
Yeah, you could have done it. Would have been great.
We would have warned you if we went that route up front.
No, you shouldn't have. It would have been better.
Yeah, just surprise us. Then we'd have to jump into character also. So
Yeah.
It's always entertaining when the people that are interviewing you have the makeup on and you don't, because that's happened
Yeah.
at a couple. Like,
My,
yeah,
my favorite band pictures on Metal Archives are the ones where half the guys dressed up and the others didn't. Like, two guys are in corpse paint. One guy's got like a Denver Nuggets tank top on. No, I love that. I'm just like, what the fuck, Bob?
if
I
you-
always-
Commit.
yeah,
And
if
that's the
you're gonna
best
do the
picture they
costume
had
thing,
for Metal Archives. Yeah.
If you're going to do the costume thing, you have to commit, and
Yeah.
everybody's going to do it. That's part of our requirements list.
Right.
Yeah, I love your particular brand. Who kind of came up with like the black with the dripping? Is dripping significant of anything? It kind of reminded me of the crying monks in that one TV show.
That was kind of a collaborative effort between Gog and myself. I had this image that I wanted to portray of performing blindfolded with streaks of blood coming from underneath the blindfold. And Gog had the idea to, like, well, why don't we do corpse paint that emulates the blindfold and the blood dripping? Like,
It's
that's kind of a cool idea.
It's sort of, again, it's a cultish kind of thing, sort of in, honor of the blind who leads us. We sort of mimic that with the corpse paint.
Yeah, it's really effective. I thought it was the first time I saw you guys, I was like, Sweden or Norway. They're from Sweden or Norway, definitely.
Yeah, the visuals are spot
Getting
on. They
that-
really are.
We've been getting that from I think the first show we played, somebody thought we were some European band, cut through. And, I take that as a compliment for sure. I think US black metal is growing, and there's a lot of really cool bands out there. And, so it's kind of fun to be a part of that, new wave of US black metal that's going on.
Yeah.
So for the band names, do you pick them? Does someone pick them for you? Or are they bestowed upon you? And do they have any like significance?
Each member picks their own name. And I mean, some of them, like mine, is just, I perform blindfolded, so blind, just very direct with that one.
Gog is biblical, from the story of Gog and Magog. You see it in Revelations. Gog leads the wretched up in revolt against, heaven. And so that one felt pretty good to me.
Anyone else?
But yeah, you kind of just pick your own. We didn't want to bestow it upon somebody. We want somebody to like be able to express themselves through, through their name.
yeah, I could clear up mine because a lot of people mispronounce it, and honestly, it's kind of entertaining to me. So it's pronounced e-talk, and like somebody on tour is like, it sounds like TikTok or something. I was like, sort of e-talk, and so I just have fun with it. I embrace my name; it's entertaining, and I talk a lot, so I say e-talks a lot. So kind of roll. You just kind of roll with the name. Like I came up with the name, and I fucking love it.
That's
As
correct.
long as no one calls you an Ewok, then we're good.
No, yeah, nobody's done that yet, but you
Now, we
just
call it
wait.
lots of other things, but it's
Hey, that's a great idea. Thanks.
you've just armed us.
Yeah, there you go.
We're all armed with names. Gog.
Yeah.
I really like the theatrical element you bring, like the live shows I've seen where they're taking a knife to a poor young girl, and of course we can't get away without the bloody baby.
Right. What's it
Bleedus.
called? The bleedus?
Yes, the
the
bleedus.
bleedus. Yeah. Yeah.
So I loved the video you have on Instagram of getting him ready for tour and hosing him down.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
How did he
filthy.
come to be in
Yeah, whose
your
idea was
show?
that? How did that kind of develop?
That one was Gog's idea.
It was based upon there's some lyrics in our song Apostasy, and there's the actual cosmic horror story written by Blind that goes along with the Chaos Vector album, where the main character was forced to like sort of reach in and rip a baby out of a womb of a woman. And so it was kind of born from that, and just a little bit of Alice Cooper worship as well,
Yeah.
if you can imagine.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So I've never been able to see you live myself, but I love how you say every performance is a summoning. Do you do the whole incense and drawings and
It's different from time to time. With this album, we've sort of changed it up, and so we've got sort of new things that we're doing. Bleedus is now retired. The sacrifice we might do again, but we're because of the theme of this album, it requires just a different approach. And so this last tour we just did, we're kind of honing that approach, and we're going to continue to develop that.
It's
We may
interesting.
bring
Somebody
some of
sent me a video. It was Watain live. I think it was like 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
And I watched it and I was like, dude, this is Wasp 1986. Come on. It was exactly the same shtick. They were throwing the meat in the crowd. There was the blood, I was like, this has been done. It's not to sound like a boomer, but come on,
Yeah, I mean, everything's been done though, when you think about it. You have to take it and give it your own flavor,
Mhm.
I mean, shock rock, whether it's shock rock or black metal, I mean,
That's right.
it's all derivative of something else. So what you have to do is just kind of give it your spin. And I think if you're honest about it and you do it with emotion and you put it out there, people are going to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That-
You can tell right away if something's derivative, or we can, if something's derivative, or if it's something it's just a fresh take on something like a classic idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like live performance, like any of the arts with live performance. You go with a thing that's kind of your shtick, so to speak, and you do it for a while, but sometimes just like in stand-up comedy or anything else, you change your bit, you go for something completely different, you experiment. Is this going to be a good performance? I don't know. So the last tour we just did, the cult tour, things seem to go really well. We're trying to figure out what we're going to keep tossing, but I like to keep people guessing on what we're going to do too. So it's the fun of that.
I mean, it's an evolution, right? It's like your music evolves over time as well. You don't want to write the same album over and over again. So,
Yeah.
Stylistically and thematically, those things change. And so the stage show evolves with that.
Do you have any literary or cinematic things that have influenced you as far as ideas or the way things look, or a summoning type thing?
Yeah.
For me, the writings of H.P. Lovecraft have always been a huge inspiration for me. I went to film school in college, and studied both film and photography. So when I hear things or when I read things, I have a very detailed picture in my head of how I imagine that and how I want things to end up looking. So I just try my best to recreate that.
Yeah, I mean, same here. My degree and my college degree is in film, and so I tend to see things very cinematically. And it's for as far as literature goes, I grew up reading a lot of horror, a lot of cosmic horror, a lot of Lovecraft, a lot of Robert E. Howard, just cool fantasy and sci-fi stuff that I grew up with that sort of helps sort of feed the vision, so to speak.
Yeah, as soon as I was like Summoner Circle, I had to break out I used to read my kids these books. These are, it's called the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. And it's all about like this alternate universe. And the people in the universe are magicians. But how they're magicians is they have to summon these demons and like keep them doing their bidding. And it's about this young boy who's kind of an apprentice to this asshole magician. And he decides he's like 9 years old and he's just going to skip it. And he accidentally summons this demon. And it's kind of like his war coming back and forth, but they're so, oh my God, so good. I don't know why you guys brought that up for me, but you did. They're
Sounds
older.
like fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like what we do on a regular basis, you know, we summon things, right? So.
Yep. How about the artwork for the new album? I really like it. How did you guys choose this particular
It
art?
almost looks like a medieval painting.
Yeah.
It was done in sort of in a Byzantine style. The artist is Misanthropic Art, and they've done work for Behemoth and numerous other bands. And just looking through their style, you know, we wanted to do something that had that sort of feel of a medieval woodcut or painting.
Yeah.
And in that kind of Byzantine style that he had done something similar for Behemoth. So we approached him and gave him the concept, and he's one of the people, he chooses bands to work with that he likes. And you know, he likes the theme. And so, you know, we were fortunate enough that he kind of bought into the vision we had, and a little bit of art direction. He got that cover done for us, and it's amazing. We
Yeah,
couldn't
it
get
turned out great.
the inside art on the CD itself was sort of riffed off of that style. Riffed, Riffed, not ripped. And my wife, she's a graphic designer, so she kind of did all the accompanying artwork for the release.
Yeah, we had a lot of favorite tracks off this one. I really like how you start out of the gate with that Apostles' Dogma. What were there actual bells, and how many people were actually singing to make that kind of choir feel at the beginning? One.
Smoke and mirror.
Multiple voices. Yeah, Nadir, our keyboard player, is multi-talented, and he composed that piece from the ground up, including all the choirs and symphony and, you know, and symphonics, and recorded that. So, you know, props to him. Obviously, you know, this is his first album recording with us, and he really added to that symphonic edge and brought that into the new material. And I think it's allowed us to grow in the direction that we wanted to go in.
My God, I thought you borrowed Ghoul's Moron Cavil and Shackled Choir there. Yeah, so that was one of them. Another one was that really long Prophet of Death. So when you build those atmospheric elements in, do they come first, or does the harder stuff get written first, or is there no set formula?
Yeah, that was one that Etok and myself wrote together. And that one kind of came together naturally. It started with a bass groove, and we just started improvising around that bass groove. And it fell together. So you know, we tend to write pretty organically. We'll come up with several, you know, I'll come up with a few riffs, and we'll sit together and we'll play them together. And, you know, I'll say, I think these riffs will work well together. And, you know, he'll compose some bass parts for it. And, you know, when we get something that we like, we do a scratch recording, we send it to Invictus to write some drums for. And you know, to Nadir to do keyboard parts for. But Nadir has a different approach. He kind of builds the entire song together. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of modify the parts to fit the way we play. So there's a couple of different approaches going on, but we're excited for this next album because it's going to be the first album where we've all written together, as opposed to composing things sort of separately. So I think the next album is going to be a lot of fun for us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Gog's really good at me and him jam together a lot, and he'll remember stuff that I jammed on like 2 years ago and be like, you know, that one thing probably go pretty good right here, or we'll just start riffing on it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next album because the writing process is going to be a very interesting growing experience. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, Invictus is just a beast too. I was like, definitely jazz background in there somewhere, right?
I'd like to say yes, but no.
It's that whiplash level of intensity. I'm like, yep.
He's got the fast feet.
I appreciate that.
So I love your videos too. Irreverence of the Cross, I love it. And then I love your playthrough. What the heck is that red kind of V guitar? I'd never seen anything like it.
That is a solar guitar. Ola England, who played in The Haunted and 6 Feet Under, I believe. You know, sort of a famous musician in his own right, came up with his own brand of guitar. Originally, they were through Washburn, and then he broke off into his own company called Solar. And the guitars are beautiful. They're at a affordable price point, and I bought myself one. I liked it so much that I approached them about becoming a featured artist, and so I am now. And they're really cool guitars. Like I said, for the price point, they're spot on.
And I can imagine kind of compact. But I
Well,
also like in that irreverence of the crust that you feature so many different types of guitar stylings. What kind of influenced you to kind of put everything together? It's just a really good mix.
Yeah, I think that's sort of just our different influences, coming together. Of course, you have the black, it comes out of the gate, just this black metal, just hits really hard, a little more melodic to the chorus. But the part that most people are referring to is the sort of the part where we take it down and we kind of go into a bluesy, clean, atmospheric part. And that's definitely, I'm a big blues guy. And I think it's kind of fun to try to bring something bluesy into the world of extreme metal. You don't see it that often. And so it was sort of just something that happened. And, the little solo that goes along with it, it is just a nice little twist. And, it was very intentional. I knew I wanted to do something like that and then build it back up into the epic part that follows. And, just fortunate that it worked out the way it did. And I'm happy that people really like that part.
Oh,
Stace sends me the videos. I've been watching your videos. So between the video with the girl and the knife and then the girl being drowned, is there someone's poor girlfriend who's always the victim of shoots?
Well, funny thing about that is that on the Irreverence video, the girl that is being drowned is actually a former bandmate.
Oh.
She actually wrote some of the guitars on that song. And unfortunately, she had to step down from the position for health reasons. And we just love the stuff that she wrote so much that we wanted to honor her and keep those. So when it came time to shoot the music video, we asked her if she wanted to come in and be in the video itself.
Get her head dunked in a pool of water. Yeah.
Mhm.
God, I love you even have like the underwater shot that, as if you didn't get enough impact.
Cinematic secrets, that was done in an aquarium.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we're always on the lookout for that. We watch a lot of videos, crucifixions, drownings. We know there's always stories to these events, up to the shootings. So
Yeah, I love the shot of humanity too. And although I know one of you always plays blindfolded, how was it like being blindfolded for that long?
For me, I've gotten used to it and it's not a problem. For the other guys, I heard them complain so much all day long about it. And I just kept telling them, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, it
People
was
walking into things,
definitely something. The concept of the masks that we wore was something that Nadir put together. And originally we were only going to use them in just a section of the video. There's like a shot where you kind of see these shrouded figures hang out in the background, but we liked the way they looked so much, especially when we were looking at the camera footage, that we're just like, let's just wear them. It's similar to the makeup, but it's different. And we're hoping to have something like that to incorporate live very soon as well. But that will allow us to see a little better.
What kind of did the little red riding hood, she almost looked like to me with the crazy makeup kind of symbolize? She was the only non-blindfolded person.
Honestly, you would have to have our keyboardist Nadir on board to answer that one. That one was kind of his vision. He had very specific ideas in mind, and the actress herself is a friend of mine, and we brought her in, and she just knocked it out of the park. She was excellent at everything that she did. So as far as the actual symbolism of the video of that character, unfortunately, I don't know all the details of it, and I would not want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
So it's unfortunate he couldn't be here for that one.
We'll say read the lyrics and do your best interpretation, right?
Yeah.
And leave it to us. We'll ask the question for the one person that's not here. That's us. Yeah.
I will say, since you like fun stories, I will tell you a fun one about her.
Okay.
You can't tell based on the red outfit that she's wearing, but she's actually a professional bodybuilder.
Oh wow.
Very cut, very strong woman.
Mhm.
And I remember at the end of the day of shooting, when trying to move around this portable generator, which by the way is not very portable,
Mhm.
on this very rough terrain, and wheels are getting stuck in holes, and we're having to try and lift it back out. And she just comes right on over after she's already removed the robe. She goes, Josh, do it like this. And she just kind of squats down, grabs hold of it. She goes, lift with your legs, and just hoists it right up and just carries it on. Like,
Oh my God.
Demasculates the entire band.
yeah, just
I did not know that happened. I missed that. I'm
it
sorry.
absolutely did happen. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, thanks for propping me
tell
up in
them-
front of
I
my
tell them
guys.
the same thing. Every time we're trying to load gear, I tell them the same thing. No, lift. You have to lift it.
Yeah, I am lifting with my back. That's how you do it, right?
Yeah, maybe you needed her on Cult of the Dead Sun. I was thinking, how did they get all those drums out in the middle of the woods?
Yeah.
Well,
One at a time.
yep. Fortunately, it was a friend of ours' property we shot that at, and so we were able to drive a good way in. But yeah, it's like anytime you're setting up sort of in nature like that, the drums are always probably the toughest thing because you want to try to get as accurate a playthrough as you can when you're shooting the video, obviously. And if you're on uneven terrain, it can make it quite a challenge.
Yeah, my pedals were balanced on, I think, sticks and rocks. It was fun.
Wow.
Wondering how many leaves you had to pick out of everything when you were done.
A lot.
That's the true wolves in the throne room, black metal from the woods. Yeah.
Does your keyboard player always play like it with it strapped down him like an accordion like that? Or is
It's a
it
keytar.
It's
Guitar, right.
Guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew
And,
there was a name for it.
Yeah, it affords him a lot of mobility on stage and allows us to, have another member that's out there headbanging and playing along with us rather than being trapped behind a keyboard.
That's a really great idea.
Well, we play a game on the show. It's if you guys are up for it, it's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. So here's how it works. So I have 5 band names in front of me. One is made up. So I'm going to test your metal, and see if you can figure out which one of these is not a real band. Okay. First is Astral Frost, Astral Immersion, Astral Catastrophe with a K, Astral Sky, and Astral Decay. Who wants to take a guess?
The one with a K has to be real because
It was too
Not
specific.
necessarily.
it's like in South Park, what do the kids care with a K or whatever?
I'm gonna go with Astral Immersion.
I think I agree.
I think I
They
agree.
they're real. They're symphonic black metal from Poland, and they have one
Oh.
full-length album. Yeah. Astral Immersion. Interesting.
We collectively fail.
Yeah, we did.
So that leaves Astral Decay, Astral Sky, Astral Catastrophe with a K, and Astral Frost.
I'll say
Oh.
Astral Frost.
Astral Frost sounds like the only one where Astral may not work with it, but who knows? I could be totally wrong on that one.
They're
Comic-
real. They're raw black metal from Finland. They have one EP.
Oh, go figure.
All right, now I'm going with the band from with the K.
Yeah, it's got to be the
All
one
right.
with the clean out.
Gotta
Yeah.
be them, yeah.
No, he was right. They're real. They have to be real. He's right. They're death metal from Mexico, and they have 3 EPs.
We're
Now, the
doing
one
a
I made
great
up
job
was Astral
picking the
Sky.
ones that are not.
Astral Sky is not real.
Astral
Sky.
Sky is real.
Guys,
Although
but-
that is an album by Uli John Roth, though. So
It is. You're right.
yes, it is. Beyond the Astral Sky. I remember it because I had an old guitar player magazine, and the ad said, no matter how many guitar players you've heard, no one is as awesome as Uli John Roth. And I thought, wow,
He is pretty.
there's
amazing.
confidence right there.
I've seen him live a couple of times and don't regret it one bit. He's
Nah.
amazing.
Well, he had the extra frets, the long guitar he designed and everything. I mean, you really can't knock the guy,
No, he's great.
So you guys completed a US tour recently. What were kind of your best and worst memories coming off of that?
Yeah.
Well, the best I would say would be the first night of the tour was a hometown album release show. Unfortunately, it was for our favorite local venue their last night. They were going out of business.
man.
And it was a max capacity show with a like 30 to 60 person queue out the door all night long.
Waiting to get in. They were turning people away because, fire marshal stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great to see everybody come out to support not only us for our album release, but also just the venue, which has been sort of home for Knoxville metal for the last 5 years. So that was the highlight. I would say the low light are playing a bunch of places without air conditioning.
Very
In a heat wave.
small little places with no air conditioning. And they don't seem to see the problem in having a 6-piece costume band trying to squeeze onto a drum riser in 98 degrees with no water, no AC, and fans facing the wrong direction. Basic stuff.
Yeah, that was the.
I mean, dealing with the heat, we've toured in summer before, but I think by far because of this heat dome thing that's going on right now across the Midwest and East Coast, it was the most brutal we've had, aside from one night in San Antonio last year.
That sucked.
That was terrible. It was like 107 that day there, and
it was 108. I think the feels like was 116.
And we were sleeping in the van, and it just wasn't happening. So.
It makes you wonder, like what's that band from Texas, Absu? He was one of the first, and you can imagine how many times he got his ass kicked, playing, doing the makeup and everything. Was in like 1993 or whatever in Texas. I mean, it just must have been, he was a martyr for the team, in the early days. Yeah.
So if you could put yourself on an imaginary tour with 3 other bands, whether they exist now or existed in the past, who would you pick?
Behemoth, Dimmu, and I don't know. I'm going to say Opeth because I love them, but that worked for me.
I'm going to agree with Gog on that one with Behemoth and Dimmu Borgir. But I'm going to swap out Opeth with Zeal and Ardor.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah.
Guys?
Springer.
They're thinking.
Me. I agree with what they're saying. Maybe switch it up a little bit and go, bring Jim Morrison from the Doors and have them do a tour with them too. That'd be awesome. Just really do a real throwback there.
That would be weird.
It would be weird. We are, man. Good times.
And
Yeah.
Victus?
I spent my time trying to think of the dumbest answer and I just couldn't think of anything.
The Wiggles.
I was like, we should go on tour with like Mozart, because you said anytime. It's not technically a band, but we could go on tour with him. That'd be cool. But I did like the Dimmu answer. I think Septic Flesh would be cool.
Oh, love Septic Flesh.
I think that's a fair comparison. And I mean, I love the Black Dahlia Murder, so I mean, I'm kind of biased on that one. So I think Dimmu, Dimmu, Black Dahlia, and Septic Flesh would be fantastic.
We are talking about the sexy newer Dimmu, right? We're not talking about the early records. I just want to be clear here.
I could go either way.
Me too.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Either way. Okay.
Now,
And you guys haven't been out to Europe yet, have you?
We have.
We were
Yeah.
actually,
You have? Okay.
we toured last year,
Okay.
February, March time. We were lucky enough to be able to get on a tour with another band that I thought we would, we always wanted to tour with, and that is excuse me, Hate and Batushka. So that was an amazing tour for us to tour, be able to tour with Batushka and Hate. And, we had opened, they came through the year before Knoxville, and we opened that show for them, and they remembered who we were. And so when we asked if, we could, when we applied to get on that tour, it certainly helped. So yeah, that was an amazing, I think we were there 17, 18 days, if I'm not mistaken. There was 21 days, we played 17 shows. That's right. So Europe.
Did you do Scandinavia or just Europe? I mean, like what countries did you do?
We did. We're in 13 different countries. We did 17 shows in 13 different countries. We did not. The only Scandinavian country it was Denmark. We played Copenhagen.
Where were the craziest fans?
Budapest.
Yeah, probably so.
Like how? Like
Are they just
what
loud
was-
or mosh pit?
Yeah, right. What was so crazy about it?
I can't say they're actually crazy. They came out in droves.
It's probably the largest crowd of the
It was the
Okay.
largest crowd. If you just want the craziest crowd, pick any of the Netherlands shows that we did, whether it was it Apeldoorn, Snake, or Rotterdam. They turn out and like a lot of Europeans, when they come out to a black metal show, they just kind of stand there with their arms crossed. They just maybe nod their head a little bit, but they're just watching. They'll cheer in between songs, but they're just watching.
They're more reserved, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't mean they don't like it. It's just sort of how it is in some countries.
How they
Yeah.
digest it.
but all the folks that came out from the Netherlands, they just got into it. They ate it up, and it was a lot of fun to meet and hang out with all of them.
Yeah, we made a few super fans from the Netherlands too, so we're very grateful for that.
That's so cool. Well, good. That's great because I mean, I know it had to be like night and day compared to some of the rougher dates in the U.S. that you guys have endured. Like you were
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah,
100
I mean,
degrees and no AC, and
I think overall, well, yeah, I mean, we were on a big tour bus there too, so that was great.
And it was the winter.
Yeah, but
okay.
overall, I would say I think hospitality is better for bands in Europe.
Yeah, that's what we hear. Yeah.
They actually feed you decent food.
Yeah.
And most of the venues have showers.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things that was eye-opening for me and the band was every CD that we brought with us, we sold every CD. Like they buy the music there. They don't. It's just like really eye-opening to see that. It's like polar opposite of here in the US.
They're going to buy the T-shirts first here, and then maybe they'll get a CD.
Yeah.
Over there, they want the music, and physical is still a thing there. So that was really refreshing to see that.
Did you do vinyl too?
We have vinyl coming out for the new album. It's available for pre-order if you go to summonercircle.com and click the store link. But we did not do it for the last album, the Chaos Vector album.
Yeah.
So what's coming up next for you guys?
More touring, you
Yep.
know, let's get some tour dates set up. We're looking at something in the fall, sort of around the time that we'll be playing Metal Devastation, Tennessee Metal Devastation Fest. So I think that's on October 5th. So we'll do something around that. So think maybe late September, early October dates that we're setting up. And of course, there's other irons in the fire, so to speak. I hate using that term, but it's true. There's more writing going on, and we're looking at upping sort of our, maybe doing some costume updating and some other things to make the stage show better. So always busy and always tinkering,
Yeah.
I think you guys would be great at Maryland Death Fest. I think it'd be entrancing to watch the whole experience. You're kind of like wolves in the throne room. It's not just, yay, it's a good riff. It's a whole experience. I think it really
we would
makes
love
it
to do
rich.
that. So, if anybody's listening from MDF,
Yeah. But there are good riffs, I will say that.
There are a lot of good riffs.
The sounds of decay!
Okay, Sounds of Decay 1 is Julie Christmas's Ridiculous and Full of Blood. The title of Julie Christmas's new solo album seemed like an odd concept to me at first, but then I read this came originally from a tongue-in-cheek way that Christmas described herself. In any case, despite being new to me, Christmas is no newcomer to the music industry. She was the former lead singer of the noise rock band Made Out of Babies and is now and also the defunct supergroup Battle of Mice. Her last solo effort, The Bad Wife, was released 14 years ago. After collaborating with Cult of Luna more recently, perhaps that spurred a new alliance as Luna's Johannes Persson takes a turn with a guest appearance on this album.
The 10 tracks vary wildly in length, as do Christmas's multi-personalities from the appropriately named under 2-minute blast, to others like Lighthouse and The End of the World that are nearly 6 minutes long. Christmas warbles at the start of the opening track, Not Enough, in a nasally mid-range vocals sounding a bit to me like fellow Brooklyn, New York native Cyndi Lauper. The drums of Chris Enriquez have a blocky sort of snap, crackling out like popcorn, while the distorted post-rock guitar of John LaMacchia chimes in. Christmas soon unhinges, and the warble becomes a rageful scream. When all but the drums drop out and she snarls, "I not yet begun to defile myself." The emotion is raw and unfettered. As a lyricist, she strikes me like a confessional poet in the vein of Anne Sexton or Sylvia Plath, exploring toxic relationships, being at the end of one's rope, and being trapped in one's own loop. Not the usual verse-chorus structure, just pure poetry. The Lighthouse has that feel as Christmas starts in storytelling mode that builds to discordant wails and back again over jazz-inspired drums of Enriquez, a reverby guitar riff spinning out occasionally as the bass of Andrew Schneider strikes thick underneath. Standing tall on the edge of a sharp cliff, a lighthouse sees a woman, a trawler calls the mist.
End of the World is a much different vibe. It is slower with shoegazy guitar riffs spiraling out over marching drums. As Christmas starts off in a small voice, "I just wanted to see you again," her son growls like a V8 truck engine revving at a light. The listener gets the sense that the interaction did not go well, as if the title of this track was not also a big clue. As the song goes on, it seems like a duet of an argument as Christmas starts to seethe. By the end of the refrain, full of plaintive regret that will stick with you. By comparison, Kids is a calliope of noise. From the layers of keyboardist Tom Tierney, doomy riffs and breathy vocals layered with yowls. My favorite track is the powerhouse Thin Skin, with a super fuzz tone that slows sounding like a creaky door before the drums and guitar blow the roof off. Christmas's vocals are frantic, from an impassioned plea to enraged screech. The Band-Aid is ripped off. The air is thin. He thinks I am garbage, and I've got thin skin. Run.
Music like this is such a cathartic gift and is required listening for those who have ever had someone make them feel inadequate, or who screams in their pillow after a hard customer service day, or those who just need to rock out to keep on keeping on. I sure hope Julie doesn't keep us waiting another 14 years for another solo Christmas. All right, we're going to play it. This is Thin Skin.
Okay, Sounds of Decay 2 is Ulcerate's new album, Cutting the Throat of God. I swear, sometimes I wonder if I can really be objective. I never met an Ulcerate record I didn't like. And yes, I even like A Fracture and Failure, the one with the screamy vocals that everybody rags on. I love it. But the same can be said for a few bands that are kind of in my wheelhouse: Immolation, Deathspell, Catafalque, a handful of others. As much as I enjoyed the claustrophobic dissonance of the early stuff, the last album seemed like the band was entering a territory marked with warmer, slower segments, scattershot with fits of their idiosyncratic rage. The latest record, Cutting the Throat of God, continues to develop this light and shade. The guitar segments have evolved from jarring skronks to bell-like chimes. Drummer Jamie St. Marat's experiments with tempo pay off song after song, stretching out into unhurried explorations behind Michael Hoggard's signature post-metal pulses that sidestep into fits of speed and power flawlessly, as Paul Kellen wolfs out poetry of the forever betrayed and the eternally disgusted.
The effect of this album is simultaneously overwhelming and incredibly alluring, clocking in at just under an hour. The listener can enter at any point and soon find themselves strolling, hypnotized through the knotty limbs and twines of the surprisingly melodic album. It seems almost silly to point out the standouts on such consistent work, but the masterful tug of war between clean chiming segments and steamrolling death metal In the Dawn is Hollow is impressive, even for this trio. Marat, a restless machine constantly leading the band from swish to batter. The title track also deserves special mention, building high drama from the start with elephantine guitar chirps crisscrossing over Marat's calculus. Kellen booming, sever, repent and sever, as melodies swim to life and disappear like smoke over a relatively straight beat, if there is such a thing for this band. Finding its core melody around the halfway mark, building to a tempest of storming double bass and sweet, dark chimes.
Okay, obviously we're a little biased here when it comes to Ulcerate, but even those passive death metal fans should be able to detect that this is something different and very special. The band have turned the corner on an already impressive career. Check this out. This is the title track, Cutting the Throat of God.
Sounds of Decay 3, Thou, Umbilical. Thou have returned with what seems to be their first full-fledged, non-collaborative, non-covers, non-compilation album since 2018's Maggots. 10 new songs span about 50 minutes, and quite honestly, they have never sounded heavier. Drummer Tyler Coburn plays out of his mind for this record, resulting in a mood something like Thou meets High on Fire. Ryan Funk's vocals are a shrieking sort of pagan filth, a tattoo needle in the ear that never lets up. The subsonic guitar sounds dialed up by NOLA knob twindler James Whitten come through like an immense punishing sonic dreck in every song. If you thought their earlier efforts were heavy, Umbilical is a must-hear, as this thing is likely the most crushing set of songs the band has ever released. Not sure what is going on with these veteran bands finding a second season to their existence, but this album can be added to the list.
From the very first chords of opener Narcissus Prayer, it's obvious that the bar has been raised, guitar swelling and glitching in a wounded crawl under Funk's golem-like rasp. About 5 minutes in, he settles into a groove with the last line repeating, "At last it's time to die, so die." This is love at first listen, folks. Not all the tracks move at an injured snail's pace either. Unbidden Guest is one of the shorter mid-tempo tracks, bolstered by Coburn's deft clobbering percussion and Funk's incessant howling. But the one that I cannot seem to resist is the one we're going to play for you now, The Promise, one of the heaviest, most vicious songs we've stumbled across in 2024 thus far. Who was The Promise for? An animate corpse that is toiling in vain. Well, he just described my day job perfectly. Check out the Neurosis-style tribal groove that erupts about 3 minutes into this. It is 5 out of 5 or some shit like that. So, anyway, go for the gold album plus 7-inch, available for the quite reasonable price on their Bandcamp page. You guys don't know this, but Stace actually started supplying Mr. Funk with contraband contact lenses a few months ago. Odds are he was wearing them when he recorded this. Maybe that's the inspiration. Never underestimate the power of free lenses, people.
Well,
You are welcome.
to be fair, it was a bit of a trade.
It's true. Yeah.
It was a very
I
good
didn't
trade.
get anything. This song is called The Promise. Okay. Normally we reminisce about the show, but I'm just going to say, and each day you'll feel nicer, and each day you'll feel nicer. Hattie's head is so sad. Hattie is oh so sad. Where's the cat? Anyway, sorry, I'm having way too much fun here. Yeah.
Well,
Don't you want the way to run?
Xland. We talked about a lot of good new music. We talked about some great new black metal from Cinnamon
Kleenex, bring
Sparkle.
No, please don't. Please.
We talked about messing with the knife store.
We talked about stumbling into some weird housewife cult craft circle.
There's a lot of women in there. They were going to town with those corks. Yeah.
A lot of peacock art on the wall too. And
And of course, 4th of July weirdness.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I every year we literally get an injury. Just like there's always some holiday injury. Like Christmas time, it's the pine needle or a errant cork to the eyeball. But I guarantee you somebody will have burnt their
Aaron
eyebrows off.
cork to the eyeball. Ah!
No kidding.
Muzzle top. This has been the Kleenex Appreciation Society Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the gang from Summoner Circle for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Season 3 artwork courtesy of KC Angel. Please go out and buy the Kleenex Lilliput compilation immediately. Also, Sounds of Decay bands. This week, check out Julie Christmas, Ulcerate, and Thou. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Little bear is so mad. Little bear is so sad. She loves Kleenex. She loves Kleenex.
Yay!
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.